So we got this customer coming to us with few questions. Well, the first question always comes with how much will it cost? The next one is when it will be done. If you manage to send your customer to the other coach, other courses, then he might have other question, which are basically, well, what can I get for the Christmas, or what can I get for the next show we're going to in December, or is it worth doing? So we get this picture over and over again. And question here, how many of you are in this kind of situation? So you either need to ask for estimates, or on the other hand, you need to propose West estimate. One person, great. Anyone else? Okay, some of you, that's cool. Okay, other question, how many of you are using Planning Poker for that? More people are using Planning Poker than estimating. It's pretty cool. For what are you exactly using the Planning Poker then? Next question is, how many of you think that you're kind of accurate using your estimate technique? Okay, I think there are like 2 hands there. Okay, cool. How many of you like estimating? Oh, there was 1 hand there. Oh, 2 here. Oh, that's pretty cool. Okay, so we don't like it, but we still do it. One of the reasons we don't like estimating is because of the contract game we play with the business. So we have a business side, IT side, R&D side, and we are supposed to play a game. This is a bad game because basically both sides lose. I mean, they are expected to ask us for more. We are expected to say, no, that's too much. So we are trying to play a game to put more or less scope into the next project, and basically at the end of the project now we came to the who is guilty part of this exercise. So one of the best example I've seen recently was we finally decide to put this story into the sprint and lower the estimate from 3.45 story point to 2.75 story point. That was amazing example of this game. So one of the side effect of this contract is that we're trying to do no estimates. We don't do estimates at all. So we try to talk with you what you need, and we try to deliver this. The second reason we have a challenge with the estimates is that there's a lot of unknowns. We are in a very complex domain, and there's a lot of things we don't know that we don't know. That's not even the risk. We just have no idea that we need to ask the question about this. So they often blow up into our face. So sure, we can do different things to raise our accuracy, but at the very end of the day, you just don't know how much it's going to take. Are we done? Now we're done. Okay. So awesome quote by a friend of mine. If estimates were accurate, we wouldn't call them facts. So the thing is, we're just guessing. I mean, it's maybe the squawk. So it's scientific white as guess, but it's still a guess, right? So we get this explanation. We go to the product owner and we say, okay, this is why we don't want to do the estimates. You say, okay, I get it. And the next question he go with is, okay, can you answer my question now when I get it? So the way we can talk with the product owner is, okay, so that it does not work. This is what we can tell him. And it doesn't work either. And now it's, hooray, it's working. So we have time here. We have accuracy here, which is not easy to write on the side. And now what we know is that if this is 100%, then what we can get probably is something like this way, right? So we can spend more time, we get a little better estimate. However, sometimes we get a little worse estimate. Basically, no matter how much time we spend, we don't get a perfect estimate. So if we will go with the planning poker, we'll probably end up somewhere here. We have kind of good estimates, kind of well understand the scope of the project. A friend of mine do just a planning poker on the whole project, so he just asked the team how big is this project compared to other project we did. So they get basically spend like few minutes just to estimate the project, and it's less accurate, but still good enough. And the moment I find that I'm going to the organization, they have a big backlog and they don't know how big it is that basically. So planning poker might not be the best idea. So we try to find something here. And one of the techniques I'm using is this one. So it's a silent sort estimating, also known as infinity estimating, whatever to call it. So what you need for doing this exercise? Well, you need something like maybe an hour of time. That should be enough for you. Well, you will need a product backlog, basically. So it can be done for a product backlog 20 items plus. I mean, I heard people are doing 300 plus items, but what the hell make you to have a 300 items in your backlog anyway? So if you have 300 backlog, then you still first need to talk with your product owner then to estimate. But 20, 60 items is something you can go easily with this one. You need a team who will be estimating this one. And then you need a product owner. Finally, at the end, you need a facilitator, so someone who will drive the conversation. It's pretty usual that we have a scrum master or someone from outside the team to help us drive this exercise. Okay, so what we do? The first step basically is to get the product backlog. If you have it on the post-it notes, whatever works for you, then it's great because you have already done this step. If you by an accident you have it in a tool, so you're managing in some software, you need to print it out. If you're using a more sophisticated tool than Excel, then probably you might also put a identification number of this particular story. So print it, make it big, make it visible, cut it off. It's taken some time, but you will speed up soon. So the next step is to get everyone inside the room. You need to have enough space for to have people move around. If you have printed out on the paper your backlog, then probably you need a big table. If you have a post-it notes, then probably big wall is enough for you. So we got a team, we got a product owner, we have a moderator, and we have a backlog here. Next step. Okay, now it's tricky thing. So we need to create some labels. We need to separate the places where you're going to put the different estimates. So basically, if you haven't done any estimates before, then you can go with the t-shirt size like here. If you have done already some estimates using the planning poker, so you can probably go with Fibonacci sequence. You can go with the exponential numbers, whatever works for you. If the team has already did some other estimates, so for example they have their own estimate, it doesn't need to be starter points, then you can just create the numbers that correlate to their estimates. I'm going to show you a few examples. One more which is missing here is usually you should add a question mark. So for stories that are not really understand, they will probably go to the another section. Now you distribute those items on the wall, so you can separate areas for each of this estimate. Okay, next step. Just explain the rules. So the goal is simple: get a pretty good estimate. We're not looking for perfect estimate because we know that is not going to happen. We're looking for pretty good one. There is one simple rule here. We can move any item, but we cannot talk. And the team is going to do this exercise. Product owner is just observing. So now, if you haven't done this before, just share the backlog now. If some of the items were already estimated, then you can put them into the right buckets or right area, so they know the reference point. If there was no previous estimates, then you probably need to get your reference point. Otherwise, you cannot estimate them related to one to another. And then we go. This is the most funnest and most important part of the exercise. So we move items. So what you can see here is basically we have a backlog here, we have estimates here, and those folks here are moving the items into one of the areas. So no talking except for can you move a little bit. So make sure that there is no discussion happening. Make sure that the product owner is just observing so he doesn't move everything to once. Can happen. And also, this is really important for you to observe the dynamic, what is happening, which people are involved, which people are not involved, which items are moving often, because there will be items that you probably will need to discuss soon. All right, now when we're done with this one, then basically we're mostly done. I mean, you can finish now. You can do some of the validation step. One of the validation step is just to compare the items against each other in the same group. So you have, for example, XLs here or mediums here. Just see if they're kind of close to each other, or we maybe need to move some of the items out of this group, right? The next validation we usually do is we check with the product owner. So you get the product owner here, really interesting leaning over the backlog, and you have some question marks probably here, if I remember correctly. So product owner can review the backlog, ask the question. It's not about, I don't agree with this one, I don't agree with this one, but maybe, okay, I thought that it's kind of simple because I just wanted to have a, one page here added, and I just wanted to have a pop-up on this one. So how about, is it really 20 or is something smaller? So it's having this kind of conversation. And whatever you're done with this one, so this can take another 15, 20 minutes, maybe half an hour, depending on how many items you want to discuss. But whenever you're done with this one, my recommendation, put your estimates on your items before anyone will open the window, basically. So, and you can try this exercise once again from the beginning. So anyway, you basically move the items from the columns to the specific items, right? And you're done, basically. That's it. I mean, it's take like half an hour with explaining the rules, maybe 45 minutes, maybe an hour with all the discussion. Now, if you are again still want to use your electronic system, then you can move all the items back to the system if you have a need for that. If not, then you can just enjoy the beer. Other things you can do is to do some of what if analysis with your product owner. So for example, I had a nice discussion with one of the team recently. Is okay, we're going to do this project and it's going to take half a year. You did any estimates on that? No. But I mean, the CEO said that it's going to take half a year. We're good. How about doing this exercise for an hour? We did. So now we look at the previous estimates, so we get some velocity. If we look at the backlog, and we say, okay, 2 years from now, yeah, that's a job stability for those guys. They ended up cutting like 3/4 of the scope to deliver something in half a year. So that was kind of interesting discussion we had there. Okay, guess we're done with this one. If you have an question about this exercise or any other exercises, just catch me during the breaks. And I don't want to stop between you and the lunch basically now. So thanks for your attention.